So, what are we watching?
I'm halfway into season 2 of Succession, and
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, I'm late to the train, but I'm glad it's happening now. Is the 4th season done, or
No,
are they,
it's like 3 episodes in.
Great,
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like by the time they finish that, I'll be up to date, and then I'll just binge the 4th season.
How many episodes are per season?
10? 10?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, I
it? You
think
should
they're
be
all
able to
10.
catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I don't really watch TV or series, but I don't keep up with them very well. But I did see Dungeons and Dragons.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
You saw
good.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
I
did
haven't
not
seen
see
it.
that.
No,
Yeah.
not yet.
You gotta see it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
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 Are
It
the,
was fun. Yeah.
Team that made Game Night. You guys seen that? It's with Ozark. Jason
Is it like a?
Bateman. Yeah.
Is
you're
it
right.
Bateman?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
right. Yeah.
It's not
I was
a
like,
horror
I'm gonna
film.
be wrong. Yeah.
It is a horror or no?
No. It's a comedy.
Oh, never mind.
So funny.
Okay. No, I
So
haven't
funny.
seen it.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Last 2 things. I watched Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh, that's
good.
right. We talked about it.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw that recently then?
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Good.
It's
Crazy.
wild, huh?
Yeah. Wild. Loved it. Actually.
Yeah.
Kind of a brutal film.
Do you
Big
like
fan.
It is.
Yorgos' other stuff? Lanthimos' other stuff?
Yeah. The Favorite. Perfect.
Favorites?
Perfect film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Was that Emma Stone?
Emma Stone. Yeah.
And
yeah,
The Lobster. And Dogtooth.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
Have you seen The Lobster?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I know.
you should watch
That's
The
next.
Lobster.
Yeah, I need to.
I've never
heard.
seen it, actually. I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
because, I don't know. It just seems like it would be up your alley. Yeah.
Okay. I need to get
If
on
you
it.
liked Killing of a Sacred Deer, you're going to love The Lobster.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like you liked Killing of a Sacred
I
Deer
did,
more
a lot.
than I did. Yeah. Like, I liked
Oh.
it,
Yeah.
but I didn't love it.
I have a,
Yeah.
I tempered. It's like a temperate kind of. It was fun.
Yeah, I
It
thought it
is.
was
And I like
so
I like
uncomfortable.
parts of it
and-
more than the entire thing.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I did
Okay.
enjoy the main performances. Those
Yeah.
are great.
For
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it
I
worked
mean,
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, I'm
Okay.
rewatching the other 2 on Comedy Central. Good comedy. Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
What's that?
That's okay.
Okay.
What's it good? It's good. I'm just plugging the show. It's good. Season
okay.
3's coming up
Oh yeah.
in
Sponsor.
May. It's awesome.
Please sponsor us.
So awesome. So awesome. Check that out.
All right. Cool.
Cool.
Okay, well, we're the Rated Podcast, where we talk about whether or not films are over, underrated. We're your host. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Stace.
I'm Rosette.
And today we're going to talk about Nope, Jordan Peele's last big epic horror film that came out last summer, right in July.
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
It was summer blockbuster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've put together a 3-sentence synopsis. It's actually 4, but 3 was what I gave myself. So yeah, after the death of their father and what appears to be a freak accident, right? We have horse wranglers OJ and Emerald, or M, who discover the presence of a UFO that seems to be taking their horses, just taking stuff, and with the help of an electronics store employee, Angel, OJ and M set up surveillance cameras around their property to try to catch evidence of it on camera. And as they manage to kind of lure it out in the open and take note of its like behavioral patterns, they come to the conclusion that it's not a UFO in the sense of like a spaceship, but is a living creature which feeds on organic matter. So once they realize that, they recruit cinematographer Antlers Holst and devise a plan to protect, both their property and their horses, and also get the impossible shot. Directed by Jordan Peele, released in 2022. His previous films that most people know are Get Out in 2017 and Us in 2019. So that makes Nope his third, and I think perhaps the most polarizing film in terms of reception out of all 3, which Jeremy should be getting into in a moment. Cast, we have Daniel Kaluuya, who's playing OJ. Most people remember him from Get Out. As Chris, the protagonist. Kiki Palmer as M. Brandon Perea? Does anyone know? Perea?
I think it's Perea.
Okay.
Yeah.
As Angel. Michael Wincott as Holst, and Stephen Yeun as this like very wonderfully troubled and like kind of enigmatic Jupe. Yeah. A former child star turned like theme park owner, really, whose childhood trauma derives from a violent incident on the set of a sitcom. We'll definitely get into that. And yeah, lastly, I just have some final context to the development of the film that I thought was interesting. That it was written during, obviously, the COVID pandemic. And Jordan Peele told GQ in an interview that he was writing from, quote, a low point of our addiction to spectacle, kind of as like a collective of viewership, when movie theaters were kind of in this like indeterminate, like uncertain space of like, in regard to the future of cinema and the future of kind of going to the movies. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's a great point to like end on. It gives me like a lot to think about just because I'm thinking about the box office pretty much all the time because I'm always looking at the numbers. And I love the fact that April has been just a really good month for box office.
That's true.
I mean, there's been a lot of high-grossing films that aren't, kind of endless IP stuff or sequels or reboots. Talking about Nope, it opened a little bit lower than the projected 50 million for that opening weekend. It opened at 44 million, which was still very good. It was best for an original film release. It was rated R since 2019's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which came out from Quentin Tarantino, also a good film. Us cost 20 million, and Get Out cost 4.5 million, which went on to make 175 million, 176 million respectively. And then Nope finished at 177 million. So had legs, did pretty good, especially for the box office. Broke some other records, including stuff like the biggest domestic July weekend, top horror weekend domestic, top R weekend domestic, a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I was very happy with the film. I guess the thing that sort of shocked me and shocked a lot of people was that it was just snubbed out of the Academy Awards.
Right.
Yeah, not nominated for anything at all, which is crazy.
Sound alone was...
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
I mean, I think it was a great, big monster film, something. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I guess a lot of people just sort of chalk that up to the Academy not wanting to nominate genre films and things like that. So...
Just like for this year type thing, because obviously Get Out,
Yeah,
like,
so Get Out won Best Original Screenplay. Yeah.
And Best Director? No, did he not win that? Peele?
No, that
He
year...
didn't get that.
No,
I can't
was
remember.
that Guillermo
Anyway.
del Toro
That's...
Shape of Water that year?
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best screenplay, though.
that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, good film. Yeah, seems like it has a really divisive reception, at least amongst fans. And I guess people didn't really know what to make of the film itself, what it was saying, what it was doing. I mean, I loved it. I thought there was a lot of really brilliant moments.
Which is interesting because I think it's like his least subtle film.
Yeah,
Again,
when we were doing the
talking about
rewatch.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I do think one thing that's really interesting, this writer Justin Carter wrote in Gizmodo, was talking about the final trailer of the film, and I don't remember what film it was. We were sitting in the theater watching it together.
Yeah.
And we saw it was like the longest trailer for Nope, and I felt the same way that it had maybe spoiled just a bit too much for the film for me, which kind of took me out of it a bit. But, really interesting film.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. And so I guess a little bit about the production development for it. Stace, as you mentioned, it was very much a product of the COVID era. And one thing that I thought was interesting is how, I think it was an IndieWire interview, Jordan Peele mentioned how the idea of a wide open sky and wide open desert spaces was so integral because we were living in this time when everyone was kind of cooped up because of the pandemic. So it was also like the freedom of that wide open space, but also this like feeling of trepidation or like fear of it as well, right? Because the outside was such a scary time during that period, and still is arguably. And so they filmed it in Agua Dulce, which is a little bit north of Los Angeles. Truly, like mountains, deserts, rolling hills for sure. And another thing Jordan Peele mentioned was this idea of a cloud kind of low-lying in the sky, just like a single cloud floating by. And he used that as kind of a bit of inspiration because he thinks of that as like looking at a clouds moving in the sky as like the first kind of forms of motion pictures in a way. And so he said there's something about just like this cloud hanging low in the sky that's alone. That's like quite uncanny and unnerving. And that's obviously the cloud that is what's kind of hiding the alien creature, couching it. And so I thought those images were pretty powerful, and you can kind of see that inspiration throughout the movie for sure. OJ was actually written for Daniel Kaluuya, so even though he wasn't in Us, he is, this third role, the third film role was for him. And then I guess a few things about like the people working on it as well. So the cinematographer is Hoyt van Hoytema. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's a Dutch cinematographer. He's worked on Let the Right One In, the original. He's worked on Her with Spike Jonze. He's worked on a lot of Christopher Nolan, like Interstellar, Dunkirk, Oppenheimer as well. And I guess one more thing I wanted to mention was the sound design, which I think is truly incredible. And there's a really cool interview with IndieWire with the sound designer, Johnny Byrne. And in it, he talks about the process of how the script was so, like, well-written for sound. Like, he kind of really praises Jordan Peele's writing as something that was, like, it was written, like, you could hear it as you were kind of reading the script. And so they used Dolby Atmos, which is surround sound technology that's pretty new. And they really just wanted to have this, like, sense of, like, sound coming from above. And obviously that's, like, so key to the film and all of that. Yeah. So those are my general notes on the production, development, things like that.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, I mean, what did we think? What did we think about the movie? I mean, we liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I'll say the first thing that I didn't like, and spoiler alert, killing off
all
Keith
spoilers,
David.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not,
Killing off Keith David.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How can you do that?
You
Keith
didn't like
David-
that?
No, I hated that. He voiced the gargoyle from the TV show Gargoyles.
Gargoyles.
I love Keith David.
Yeah.
I
What was his name? The character's name?
I forget.
Oh my god, the main gargoyle with the
Yeah.
long black hair.
Yeah.
Oh.
What was his name?
I forget.
No, I don't
but
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Can we cuss on this? Yeah, no. Okay.
right in the beginning,
my
like
gosh,
first
yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
3 minutes.
Well, he did get shrapnel through the eye.
Yeah.
So already we were like hit with this like single eye, right?
Yeah.
Like the camera's eye, the dad loses the eye, and that's what kills him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jupe is always doing that little winky thing, the little Jupe.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we all reacted the same way to the character Jupe that
Yeah.
we love.
Love him.
Yeah.
Love Steven.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. for
Everything
sure.
about it.
Just so much like sorrow and also
Repression and
total
like,
repression. Yeah.
Also the jacket. The jacket.
The red
might
one.
be one of my
yeah.
favorite
The,
things.
is it red? The
Yeah.
red one? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
The
man.
sequins on it, it's like
Suit,
sparkles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice jacket.
Incredible. That's something that, like, if it was A24, they'd be like auctioning that off.
Oh, I know,
you
right?
I know.
$10,000.
Yeah.
For real.
I can see why, you wouldn't enjoy the death of Keith David. But at the same time, it was just like it was a classic, like, catalyst death.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
death of a
yeah.
family
The
member,
hero's
let's
journey,
kick
yeah.
this
And the
off.
father, and like so much of the film is about legacy and like holding on to a legacy. So in
Yeah.
That's true,
it
yeah.
does kind of make sense.
So I did have to kick it off. I was just like,
It did,
man,
yeah.
why'd that
It was a
be
kill
him?
your
Good
darlings
piece.
maybe kind of moment. Because if you do recognize him right from other, like, if you,
Stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. But
Yeah. Yeah, what else? What else stood out?
well, in terms of characters,
Yeah.
were you gonna go to?
No, I
Oh.
was gonna talk about the alien design.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Jordan Peele in interviews has said it's based off of the angels in what's that anime? Neon Genesis Evangelion,
Yep.
right? All I kept thinking of was Rava and Vatu from Legend of Korra. Do you remember? And Stace hasn't seen Legend of Korra. Jeremy, do you
I
remember
haven't, yeah.
the two spirits?
Oh, okay.
in the spirit
book
world, like
4 or
in the
whatever.
northern, the northern
okay.
water tribe.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
That's
now I get it.
like the white one with like the blue stuff. Yeah, so that's
Okay.
like totally what it made me think of.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's also so like the character, the monster design, both in terms of behavior and appearance, is modeled off of a lot of like real life animals. And so I have a list here. Squids, octopus, stuff like that. But also, so a lot of aquatic creatures. Also like aquatic creatures that mess with energy fields. So I think like the ghost fish, all that kind of stuff. So it is very much grounded in like actual abilities of like animals in the wild.
Yeah, I did
Which
like
I
some
thought was
digging around. I
interesting.
saw like maybe a jellyfish.
For sure, yeah.
sure,
It
yeah,
definitely
which
has
kind
the
of-
tentacles.
Yeah, it sort of made sense with the way it sort of wafts
Yeah.
is towards the end. I'm also thinking about the single cloud kind of deal,
Yeah.
and that makes a lot of sense to me
Yeah.
because when I moved out west, one thing
Yeah.
that like stood out to me immediately was
Cool.
how empty the sky was.
Yeah.
So there would just be days where you would just see
Yeah.
the whole sky completely blue.
Clear,
It would be the most unnerving thing for me because I was.
And then add to that a single cloud.
Yeah.
And it's fucking weird, right?
It is
Yeah.
very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very strange.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with this lots of dense trees, so I was used to like that claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of.
And so that's like quite like that's important too, I think, right? Like the role of the American West in the imagination.
Right.
Sovereignty, having your own land, having your own space,
Right.
having your independence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, like with, there's settler colonial histories involved there. But yeah.
Yeah. I wish I did more research about Jean Jacket as like because so many people are reading into obviously the anime, but like the fact that of it sort of resembling like the biblically accurate angel, and sort of like that kind of just historically I don't know, just elongated like history of like the conflation between like aliens and like angels. I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was interesting too. Yeah, just because of the shapes it changes into and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. That's when it opens up, right? It's like the camera.
It's like a shutter.
Yeah, opening and closing, right?
Totally.
Yeah. The single eye of the camera.
Eye of the camera. I guess when did you guys realize that it was a camera, or like that it was supposed to like emulate like that? The mouth was the camera.
I didn't realize it until you said it.
Oh, okay.
Like today?
No, not.
Okay.
In the
because you did say it in the
But
theater.
it happened right after that, sometime last year in the past.
Yeah.
I think only in that moment. Only when it was opening up and doing the actual shutter motion
When it was
of
like the
closing
full
it.
tentacles.
Yeah, it's like the square. Yeah. That probably was it because. Yeah, because before that it was just like, oh yeah, it definitely looks like a UFO with like the center thing that like beams.
Yeah.
But then also.
But I feel like there was like a shuttery quality to it.
I think it's
Yeah,
like,
because it opened in like it almost in the not the iris, but of the camera that does this like enclosing. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was almost like like if you would clap or something to scare an animal off or something like that, or you know what I mean?
Wait, for what?
Or like can't dolphins click to like get things away from them?
They communicate
With clicking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
you thought that was okay.
That was the camera's way of scaring predators off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Once we did the rewatch, I couldn't stop seeing just like the underside of like a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so dumb. Like, like may not be,
real.
but it had
Which
the
is
same
great,
coloring and like.
Because then even the back of Jupe's jacket had the so like
exactly.
all.
It really did.
Yeah.
That was a great jacket, honestly. I wonder where it is. Like, do they keep it somewhere? Is it stored in a museum?
Oh.
I hope that Stephen Young has it.
Ooh, Stephen Young.
Yeah, I hope he has
it. They probably didn't let him keep it. Do you think?
Probably not.
I don't know if they let anybody keep anything.
Yeah, I know. Every time I hear about an actor has something, they took it from set.
Yeah, and they weren't supposed to. Yeah, right.
I guess like one thing, since we're talking about the eye of the creature, right?
Yeah.
If I also just want to bring it back to my favorite character, the cinematographer, Antlers.
Yes.
Antlers Holst, right? And when we first see him, he's kind of in his tropical film studio, right? And he's going through reels of animals, like footage of animals.
Yeah.
And they're all the animal's eyes, like, and it just like shifts from like an eagle's eye to a leopard's eye to a whatever eye. And then we have like obviously the opening with OJ and the horse on set, and the first thing OJ says, I think it's OJ's first lines.
Yeah,
right,
don't look in the eye.
Don't look it in the eye.
Yeah. Actually, it's true.
Yep.
And that's how they evade the monster, right? Is he looks away from it. He doesn't.
Yeah.
So to see is to be seen. In a way.
Yeah. This is something I saw this I saw an argument I think that was on some forum or whatever. And I want to know what you guys think. And it was saying like, okay, especially with the Gordy's home incident, when Gordy attacks everybody, right, except for Jupe.
When Gordy is pushed to attack.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's not mention. Yeah, there was provocation. Yeah. So, or
The
you know,
balloon did
arguably
pop,
there was a trigger. Yeah. or there was an ostensible trigger, right?
Yeah,
At the same time, like
for
that
sure.
happened, and then so there's correlation.
Yeah.
Is it a trick? I mean, there's
Yeah.
debate there too. But the argument I saw was that like Jupe was not attacked because he's under the table and looking at looking at Gordy through the tablecloth, which is like sheared. So they were saying, oh, it's indirect eye contact, so it wasn't a provocative direct eye contact moment.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a valid
I mean, maybe.
explanation
I mean,
there?
that does
or-
work with animals, though. Like, like if you make eye contact with a kind of riled up dog, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that I think about it, right, because the
transparency or like
transparent veil. From the tablecloth or whatever.
Right, and like you see that point of view shot, and it's like this, right? So.
But that's also kind of very like meta for the audience too, right? Like when you look at something scary through your fingertips or something, or like indirectly.
Oh yeah, like the veiled sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a bit, I think, oversimplified because it's like, I don't know, they're like chimps are pretty intelligent. Like really, you don't think like they definitely, Gordy saw.
I mean, he was
him.
also hiding. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also under that table.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, because they had the lady whose face was obscured when she's sitting outside, and so
And
like
she's got
that Charla Nash reference.
Yeah.
About the woman that was attacked by the chimp, and it was on Oprah all those years ago, right?
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, so like that also, now that scene is making me think about, maybe that's also a nod to that.
Oh, I mean,
there's certain other parts definitely.
Oh yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good point because she's sitting there with like the veil
that
as
was
well.
For sure.
And that like the wind fucking blowing. Yeah,
that's a beautiful shot. Yeah,
scene.
I mean it's terrifying, but it's beautiful.
Great
yeah.
scene, truly.
What I'm interested in is the sort of tension like in the film that's represented between kind of like two sort of conceptualizations of like the animal just in general. One as like tameable, predictable, has patterned behaviors that we can like trace, we as humans, right, and map out and understand, and then at the same time totally like nebulous, like unpredictable, right, like untrainable, like alien, right, to our understanding. And it does seem to just waver, I think, back and forth between those two ideas, or I guess ideations of the animal, especially like, because they're mapping out like, okay, jean jacket, like, what was it? It's like, they know that like it can only consume like organic matter, and then they're like, there's other stuff about they know like even with
they're like
Jupe,
learning its
like
behaviors.
like predicting like, or not even predicting,
like
but
Jupe letting the horse go and knowing that that's the cue. Or
exactly.
kind of like training your dog, right? To, like,
exactly. Yeah. But then at the same time, there's all these other comments that go on in the film, like Jupe's wife says, trained animals can be unpredictable, like during that demonstration or presentation, whatever that is called, performance. OJ and M's dad says, so some animals ain't fit to be trained. He says that about Ghost.
Yeah.
So it just seems like there's a back and forth. And I think really it's just the tension that's being represented in the film. But my question, I guess, is, what do either of you think in the sense of, is it trying to make an argument for one or the other? Or is it just trying to, present that kind of sort of contradictory representation? I don't really know. I think it's because I feel like it is doing both at so many different times in the film.
Yeah.
That I don't know what to make. And there's, we have all the different animals that it presents in the film. I mean, from not just from
and it's
like
organized right according to the animals' names.
Yeah. Right.
Right. We have like that intro sequence. We have Ghost. Then we have Gordy. Then we have Lucky. Then we have Jean Jacket.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not just the horses or Jean Jacket, but then there's also, there's like the praying mantis. Even is like a very funny sort of,
on the camera.
It's like, of course it's right there, right? It's like it almost has a kind of like agency in that moment that like. And then it's funny that M says like something like, if I ever see that praying mantis again, I'm gonna eat him or something. Yeah. I don't know. So that's kind of my biggest tension that I haven't even worked through in terms of what I think. I just think that it's presenting both sometimes simultaneously, and I don't know what to make of it really.
What was I'm trying to remember the context for this line, but the line was, if it has a spirit, you can break it. Do you guys remember? Was it
I don't remember that.
Who said it?
That sounds like something Holst would say, though.
Right?
Doesn't quite sound like an OJ or
and if that...
or an M. She wouldn't have said that.
I wouldn't have said that. It probably is antlers. So if we kind of want to think about if it has a spirit, you can break it, but if it has a spirit, because the idea of like a soul, right, or consciousness or a soul is like so much a key part of like discourse on like human and non-human limits of animals, or like what it is to be an animal, right? In some ways, I read the way I read the film and how it dealt with the taming of animals or the harnessing of an animal's energy or like managing it. I kind of thought it was saying that like the camera is kind of has a universal effect on like humans and animals alike, right? Humans as animals too, right? Like so like the object of the camera, the object under the camera's gaze is going to be, because even and I think Jupe was what led me to think about that, because Jupe, right, this like child actor is as vulnerable to the camera as Gordy the chimp is.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And because you know Jupe's a human, maybe like he has like whatever, he has vehicles and ways of like managing whatever trauma the camera causes, right? But Gordy like maybe doesn't, right? Or his reactions are going to be a little bit more extreme than a child's would be, or a child's would be a little bit like longer across time. But not just a child, like any actor, or any, like an adult actor as well. So just kind of being under the gaze, being managed in that way. I do think it's the suggestion to me is that kind of there's an equality between animals and humans. That's kind of how I read it. That an animal can be tamed as much as a human can be tamed.
Okay. Cool. I mean, I don't know, on both of those. Now I'm just thinking about capture in general, like capture from a camera. Yeah, capture like a moment in time and what that represents. And then
like camera or like photography or like motion pictures as an enclosure of image and sound.
Right. And then so now it brings me back to this idea that you already like brought this up about the like kind of freedom and wide openness of the American West. Right. So having that setting is very intentional. And then I think what really works for me for the Gordy scene, because some people didn't like it, which I thought was strange. I thought it was
Didn't like it in what way though?
Yeah, like if
I think they just found that it was like it's uncomfortable to watch, and
it's super uncomfortable, and that's awesome about it.
But it feels so narrow, right? Because it only happens within this contained studio audience room.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the feedback about the Gordy scene. I've gotten that like lends to a negative kind of overall opinion of the film, is that people like didn't understand its connection to the
rest of it. Right. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely the sub sort of
the
like,
B story.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's Jupe's story that is so like hard to pin down.
And it also starts. That's what we start with.
Yeah.
Right.
And
with Gordy.
Sound of it.
Right. Because it's the aftermath that they begin with. It's just the
So.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I do love. There's the one scene. This is like after the incident is like first shown, I think, but it's, or maybe not. Maybe it's when they're coming back to it. Anyway, it's like a second, like sort of, it's a second or third like return to it, but they're like the camera like what I love the way that moment is shot when they're like approaching the house, like the set. From the outside, and it's like all of the fake plants that look very like jungle like, and it's like the camera moves through them as if it's like a sort of
It's very Jaws, right? Like the shark
absolutely
under the water.
Yeah. It literally is like panning and
that happens
moving.
with Jean Jacket too, though. Like there are multiple like aerial shots where it's kind of moving through the air, and where I think the big arena scene with Jupe when everyone dies, I think that happens in that scene.
Yeah,
we're like in the POV of the of Jean Jacket.
I mean, the first thing I thought of when we finished watching that was it's just Sky Jaws, which I feel like if you're if you're gonna bite,
absolutely, Antlers is the scientist, the guy who dies by the shark.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna riff off of someone, Spielberg is not a bad choice.
Well. Oh, it's not a bad choice.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said it was a bad choice. I was like,
like,
oh, yeah.
You're like, hold on.
I was like, oh, hot take, yeah.
We're coming for you, Steve.
Damn, yeah.
Jeremy definitely didn't like Meet the Fablemans.
Oh. That could
Well,
be
I
its own
did
episode.
Faber.
No, it was not good.
Fableman?
Yeah, Fablemans.
Fablemans.
I'm glad
Fablemans?
that one walked away with 0
Just the Fablemans.
awards.
What was the title? Yeah.
The Fablemans.
It was just
Yeah, the
What the
Fablemans.
fuck? It might as well. I mean, it was, yeah.
It was
That would have made
not-
it better.
Yeah, it was not.
Didn't
Yeah.
that sweep too? Or no, did it not? For
No, no,
awards?
it
It
didn't
didn't get
get
anything.
anything. Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
That's it.
was shut out
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Same with Banshees. Which
Critical
was
reception
crazy.
was still pretty high, though, I thought, for that, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
So, which was like, come
Yeah,
on.
and I think
Come on.
I'm pretty sure he walked away with the SAG award for Best Director, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Don't
Yeah.
quote me,
All right. Yeah.
but
Yeah, lots of
Wouldn't be
Spielberg
surprising even if-
references to Jaws for sure. I think there's like a Jurassic Park element too, in that
Sure.
like animals are being harnessed for entertainment, right?
Yeah, yeah,
For the
absolutely.
public, for the viewing public.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like what you were saying about, the sort of equation of like animal to human in
Yeah.
terms of like subjectification.
Yeah.
I like the idea that like Jupe and Gordy have a lot more in
They totally do.
common
That
with,
was like the fist
yeah.
bump scene for sure, and that's
Yeah.
also an
The
ET,
ET.
reference.
oh
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh
that was,
yeah.
That was
good.
probably my favorite maybe scene. Like
Really?
that,
Yeah.
when that happened, I felt like my heart, my heart was suspended. It was crazy. Like I felt like my body dropped and my heart stayed in the
Yeah,
same place.
that'd be lovely to talk about favorite, like just favorite scenes or
yeah,
shots.
we can save
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a
that's good,
lot.
though.
There's a lot.
There's
that I
so
have,
many that are
yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the fist bump scene and then the sound of the gunshot and like the blood splatter. Oh my gosh, that was gnarly.
And I love that they don't unpack like his trauma.
That's the thing.
And that's
yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
He's just like sitting with it, and you have no idea how he's really processing that,
Yeah.
other than like what he's externalized, which is an entire like
and
monetization.
he does that whole
and-
SNL bit. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, and he's
Yeah.
totally transformed it like in his mind, like, but we don't see that.
Killed it. Yeah.
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 She's like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up on YouTube.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that was great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great dialogue, yeah, for sure, throughout. So was that your favorite scene then?
It's up there.
Or favorite
Maybe
shot?
top
Was that just
3.
favorite shot? Like just the you know.
I like the shot of the arena too. I think I mentioned to you when you were watching it when it's Jupe's show.
And you see the
And
back.
you see
Yeah.
the wide open sky, and you see like the arena on the bottom, and the whole thing is kind of like shaped like an eye too, in a way. Anyway, but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I do have to think about my favorite scene.
I think
Do you have one?
I've got my favorite
Okay, let's hear it.
favorite shot.
Favorite
in the
shot.
Entire film when they are in the house
Yeah.
and Jean Jacket is above the home and
Yeah.
there's the blood raining down on the house and there's one scene where there's just the blood like raining down over the window.
On the window.
It just looks, I mean, classic, great.
I feel like that must
Yep.
be a reference to.
I have in my head Amityville. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I think
There's-
just the blood
The
running.
lone house.
I mean, the
too.
house,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But just
I
great.
don't know, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Brutal.
blood like running and the score as well just reminded me a little bit of The Shining in the elevator scene.
right.
It's not quite a spilling out, but
Right.
with the I think there's like strings and stuff like orchestration in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, back to that point of like noise above.
Yeah.
You know.
The noise.
That was so. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
I
The
remember
spatial
when we
like.
got
yeah.
out of the theater after watching it, I had the urge to constantly be checking the sky too, like on the walk through
Yeah.
the parking lot to my car, like that like was quite visceral, and it was like they did such a good job on the sound, truly. Like the fact that it didn't win sound design alone for the Oscars was crazy, but I mean Oscars aren't a good marker of anything.
I mean, yeah.
And we just got
quote me on
uninvited
that.
from the Oscars next year.
Jeremy's like, I'm not burning any bridges today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
What about you,
That was a
Stacey?
great
What
one.
was your favorite, or what do you think might be one of your top scenes?
I can't at this moment think of like a favorite shot. I do love the sequence that I think is like either frames that it's right around it when OJ's like coming back from the arena with Lucky and he's like in the truck and the music is like starts slowing down when they hit like the field or whatever. That and then it's got to be the moment when they're like running. He's parked right outside of the house, and then he's like waiting for Angel and M to come out, and then they run out, and
That
he's
was
like,
a sick scene.
and
Yeah,
we were.
that
I
was
love that, except for we were
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, the flashback.
Yeah, when it jumps back to he has this like moment
Yeah.
of realization, and he remembers like having is it
Kinda
still
like
Lucky?
Lucky,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's still
Kinda like
Lucky back
Lucky,
on the
yeah.
set.
Yeah.
That it didn't work out, and
Yeah.
then Lucky freaks out. Yeah, because
They looked it in the eye. Yeah.
Right. Or it seemed like It's
it was the mirror. It was the mirror. Like, do we want to talk about that too?
Yeah, it was the ball mirror.
It was the ball mirror on set. So Lucky was
right,
essentially looking
right.
at himself.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what spooked him.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, a camera is also the same, right? There's like a mirror. I like the mechanics of a camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
And so
The
we were
flashback
talking
kinda
about
ruined
that you didn't need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, love that scene.
Yeah.
Love like the way the music is building and then it speeds up again. Like it's a beautiful
And the house is so like
sequence.
gothic in that scene.
Yeah.
It's like super dark. It's stormy. It's like
You get the
it's
low
very
angle,
19th
yeah.
century. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you come up with any other
I mean,
moment or
I liked
just
Antler's
aesthetically?
death. How you
yeah.
it like follows him into. Do you remember Jeremy? It,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
follows
where he's
him
getting-
into. Because I pointed out to you when you were
Yeah.
watching it.
Yeah.
So like I like Antler's death in that so that's the impossible shot. So he says initially when they get Antlers on the phone and he's like in his weird tropical studio, he says they're talking about the impossible shot and he says it's the dream we never get back from.
Mm-hmm.
And then right before he goes to like get the impossible shot because the lighting is just perfect, right? They've already kind of gotten the footage they need, but he wants to get better footage in classic cinematographer behavior. He says, and this is right before he goes rogue. He says it's going to be magic soon with the light setting the way that it is. And he says we
the
don't
golden
deserve
hour thing, yeah.
the golden hour, right? And then he says we don't deserve the impossible.
Yes.
So he has like
Yeah.
these really cryptic lines, right? We don't deserve the impossible. It's the dream we never get back from. And he goes and like faces his death basically. And it's an ascension, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
and I guess going back to the angelic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just see his feet. So that we're like following the camera's lens, and you just like see his feet going up into the monster, which
Yeah.
I guess might also be a reference to Jaws a little bit too, because the guy gets bisected, right, by the
That's
Yeah.
Oh
the
yeah.
shark,
Yeah. Yeah.
where he takes his legs off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I like that scene a lot too. I would say it's between those two. It's the fist,
Okay.
the interrupted, right, the incomplete fist bump, and then Antler's horse recording his own fucking death, like
Yeah.
the badass that he is. Yeah,
So such a wild character.
I
yeah.
love him.
That is
I don't
great,
know,
yeah.
so cryptic, so wild, so esoteric.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cowboy, truly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what was the other
Yeah.
the only other character that we haven't really talked about is Angel,
Yeah.
I would say, in terms of
Yeah.
who
Had-
had no
I-
character development.
I would say that's the thing. I think Angel's just like that. That was what I didn't like about. One of the things I didn't like, I guess, is he doesn't seem like a fleshed out character in particular.
Mhm.
But I think it was good, like comedic relief and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the bickering and the banter was kind of fun.
Well, that character was originally written to die, right?
Oh, he was.
Really?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
this is what I've
Okay.
heard. And so, I mean, I think through, like, that got changed through the developing of them building a relationship between Peele and Brandon.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I kind of like that he didn't die. At the same time, I get it.
I don't think he should have died. I'm just think like I don't know. I didn't feel like the character was.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that would have served.
Yeah.
And if
Him
not,
dying.
I was gonna say if not to just
To-
kind of add to the death count. You
add
know what
to
I
the
mean?
death count, like, to-
Contributes to the horror.
Make,
Yeah.
Jean Jacket more intimidating. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just as. Yeah, it's not really. It wouldn't have been needed because,
Yeah.
and I mean, there were a lot of.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, well, what's his face? Jupe does die, so
Yeah.
you know.
And that's kind of
And he has such an interesting like the moment of his like because you don't really see him getting. You don't even see him inside the alien.
He also accepted it, right? Like,
He did. He
there's
looks up
very
at it and he's
peaceful
like,
look on his face,
he does
yeah.
like the almost like the midsummer smile
Like
at
a
the end
wistful
of
sort
like
smile, yeah.
like shock and then also just like oh like this is maybe awesome in a really weird way
yeah.
like and it might have been there's a sort of potential for like just he was dissociating at that
He was
point but
dissociating. His story
who
kind of
knows?
like came to a full circle conclusion, also in a way.
yeah in what way
In the way that like I think of the Gordy scene as the beginning, and I think of
Sure.
Jean Jacket as like the ending, right? So like what happened with Gordy was kind of this like defining traumatic moment, and then and I think like he was just a different person after that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he created this whole like
Yeah.
entrepreneurial sort of business right out of it. And so this is kind of like the end of the chapter is like this other creature that's been
yeah
triggered in some way, right? Or
yeah
yeah.
yeah he does like Droop has like that glazed like look on his eyes so
Yeah.
so often in the film,
That's true.
except for that moment, where
That's
it is.
true.
You're
Well,
right. And like, and he looks
yeah.
up and he's like,
I think
it's so
it's
funny.
like, because I think he's operating off of, whether it's like dissociation or what.
Yeah.
It's like, he's monetized what the camera did to him, and in the end, like the camera he returns to the camera. It's the gaze,
I like that.
right?
Yeah.
And like imagine like I feel like there's like such a history of like child actors that you could deep dive into, and like what Jupe's character might
Right.
represent for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But to like have the camera and the spectacle, right, and spectator and the viewers kind of like be a foundational part of your living, of like being alive in the world, and then that's how he dies at the end too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Do we want to talk about kind of the defeat of the monster before like
That last scene,
Yeah.
the Akira reference with the
the Akira motorcycle?
the motorcycle
Oh, sure.
slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, what do we make of the fact that it's Emerald who kills Jean Jack?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There's always
right.
that like power struggle between OJ and Emerald.
Right, because she
Yeah.
releases the giant, like the
Yeah,
blo-
she's the one that,
balloon.
yeah.
What is the
Tricks
blow-up
it and
thing?
it
Yeah,
pops.
whatever.
Yeah.
Was it Jupe? It was blow up Jupe, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Mm,
doing
yeah.
the
So
yeah.
Jupe gets back at the monster in a weird way.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah,
also
Yeah. like
it's consumed by like
Yeah.
even the balloon still gets consumed by Jean Jacket. But yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember you were talking about the sort of like surrogacy of Jean Jacket, or
Mhm.
of Jean Jacket isn't the original horse that
That their
wanted
dad,
to train,
Yeah.
but then they basically just didn't let her train that
Yeah,
horse,
for sure.
and she felt like that was like something that was taken from her.
Yeah.
Except for that moment, which I still think is really interesting, right?
Yeah.
When she says like, Dad didn't even look up at me
Yeah.
when I was like
But you
watching
did.
it.
Yeah.
And then they do the thing, and then the only other time they do that is when they're, in that climactic scene or
Yeah.
sequence when they're, when she goes into to that park thing.
Yeah.
Right before that, and she's on the motorcycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. It ends with, it does get captured. They do get a shot.
She gets the
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
It is a still though, and it's not a
Yeah,
video, so
yeah.
there's something I guess
What do they call it
maybe
again? The
to be said
Oprah
there.
shot?
Right.
Oprah shot.
The
yeah.
Oprah shot.
Mm.
Oh, of course, which again.
They call it the Oprah shot. They call it the
Charlotte
impossible
Nash.
shot. They call it
Yeah.
the miracle shot.
Do they?
I think.
Okay.
I think all of those.
Yeah.
And so they all have those connotations. Right?
Yeah.
Like miracle has the biblical connotation. Oprah shot has the like pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
right.
So what do we think? Do we think this movie overrated, underrated?
Do you want to go in order? I think it's underrated. I think it's much better than the like I think more people should be talking about it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think it's perfect, and I don't think it's as good as Get Out or Us.
Okay.
But
Really?
Yeah.
I
That's
thought you
what
had
it
it at
was.
the top before.
I
Only on the first, like way back when we first saw it.
I think like upon first viewing, yes, but I think I've also just been like, especially like second time we reviewed it, and obviously I've been like kind of digesting it, no
Yeah.
pun intended. But I do, I do think,
Nice.
Nice.
I do think I have like more trepidations about it, or I feel like
Sure.
there's a self-consciousness to it that I don't think Us had. So I think I would say like Us is probably my top.
Oh.
And then I think I have a soft spot for this film, so I'll like Get Out is amazing, but I do think I like it a little bit more than Get Out, just because I like
Okay.
the California stuff, I like the film stuff, I like the photography stuff. Like I think content-wise, it has a lot of things that I enjoy a lot.
Interesting.
If that makes
Okay.
sense,
Yeah. What about you?
So for the unofficial trilogy of Peele films,
yeah.
it's
Us.
Us first.
Because
Yeah.
of
Then
Lisa
Nope.
Nyong'o's performance for sure. Yeah, and then Nope, and then
That's so funny.
Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I know is weird. Like
No,
I'm
no,
probably
I-
the only person who has that ranking.
That order. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Because I feel like for Us, Us is at the bottom for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Us
And
is
her
the-
performance was great, but look
Us
at
is
it.
the
is
bottom
a lot
for
of
you.
people.
Yeah.
I've heard
Out
that
of
a
all
lot,
three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Out of all three.
That's like not a hot take. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Is
I
it at
don't
the top
agree.
for you as well?
I would say. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
what's your
Us is at the
ranking?
top. I would probably put Get Out bottom.
Oh, okay.
You have Get Out at the bottom?
Yeah,
I
I
have Get
think
Out
so.
as number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Get
think,
Out, Nope, Us.
Okay.
Although, like, Get Out and Nope are, like, really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Us is down here. I'm sorry, yeah,
I
don't
loved
know.
I loved everything about Us. I loved all of it.
I did too.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it was definitely more, in terms of, like, genre, it was certainly more on the nose horror.
Well, let's think about outside of just.
Do you guys think Nope was underrated or overrated though? I guess
Yeah, that's what I was
Just
gonna.
okay.
Yeah,
what do you
yeah.
got?
I mean,
Well, what's yours? Yeah.
as its own thing. Yeah, as its own film.
oh man,
Standalone.
Underrated.
So we have
Do you have the
one
rating
underrated.
of like what is that on like Rotten Tomatoes? Do you have that or no? Just curious.
I don't have it in front of me.
That's fine. I just didn't know. I just wanted to.
Well, we can
It's
edit
okay,
this.
It's okay.
You can look it up. Just look it up real quick.
Yeah, we can.
We'll
I
look
was
it up.
gonna
That's
say
okay.
it was like an 84, and then
We have to be like casual.
'Cause I got a funny
It's
joke
fine.
about it.
Yeah. Nope. It's 2022. I should have just written that down. Yeah, we
I
got
know I can't believe I forgot. that.
83 on Rotten Tomatoes,
Right.
6.8 IMDb.
Oh, I think it should be more than an 83.
83.
That's right. And a 69% cinema score.
Which
Okay.
I can see the audience not liking it as much as like critics do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 83 is high, but yeah.
It's
What's
also
that?
longer. It's like his longest film. I think
Is it?
each of them get longer. Yeah, I think Get Out was his shortest film, and then
It's too quick.
Us
one,
is
yeah.
a little
Yeah.
longer, and then Nope is quite long.
Yeah.
What's the audience one? It's a cinema critic or whatever.
Oh, I don't know
I
actually.
forget.
I just lost it.
We were talking about this too when we were watching it the other day. Like, it is slow. The
Yeah.
first two acts are,
Mhm,
or I guess the first, I don't know.
Yeah, it is the
Until
first two
the
acts.
Lucky Jean
Yeah.
Jacket section, then it really starts
Yeah.
picking up, and of course the final kind of fight is fantastic.
There it
But
is.
the,
Yeah.
the beginning is a little slow, and I can see that kind of putting the score down. But I think I'm into
Yeah.
it.
That I didn't have any problem. I actually love the kind of like sequential
Yeah.
5-act construction of it. I mean, I know that that's like, but like especially the way it's like laid out for you. I think that, I guess it's slow, but I still feel like it was pretty well paced.
It's
Yeah.
really well paced. It's really like conscientious and like a very thoughtful kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Get Out was much more,
Organization.
not to bring it back to Get Out, but
Are
it was
we-
much more like 8 sequence. Like,
Are we back on or no?
yeah, we've been on.
We've
Yeah.
been on, Jeremy.
Are we?
I didn't know.
And we're leaving that in.
Okay.
We're definitely-
keep,
Yeah, we
keep,
got it.
keep that part. Keep
Yeah.
that part. Okay, well then, so it's got an 83%
Yep.
on Rotten Tomatoes.
What do you got?
B cinema score.
I like
And
it.
I saw a funny tweet
Really?
just the other day. Yeah,
Dude, it's
somebody said
amazing.
if it's not an A or an F, then it's horrible.
Okay.
On
That's
On
like a
cinema
little.
score.
who
I
said
thought
that?
that
Yeah,
was
what
really
does that
funny.
even? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good standby, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So if it's not an A or an F. So with that, is it overrated or underrated? I mean, 83%
Think about the
is.
sound.
Huh?
Think about the sound design. Like.
Think about the sound design. I mean, I don't know if it's. I would say like if it was no lower than 75%.
Well, yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, so you were going to go lower.
You think it's overrated?
Were you going to say it's
Maybe
overrated?
a little.
Okay,
Really?
Jeremy?
Maybe a little. If I'm thinking in terms of Peele's films against his own,
Okay.
Right, but if
Yeah.
I'm thinking outside of that as like big monster movies,
Yeah.
right?
That's the
Summer
thing.
blockbuster.
There's a lot of different
fun.
ways we
question
can-
Of, like just treating it as its own entity.
as its
Yeah.
own, within its own genre,
Then in that-
with it
in that way,
outside of it.
I think I'm
As a
neutral.
blockbuster.
I think I'm
Okay, you
neutral
think
on
it's
it.
about right? Okay.
Stace, what do you think?
I'm leaning toward underrated
Okay.
because I do love it, and I think it's
Yeah. Okay.
and yeah, especially because it is just so. The critical reception is so. Not sorry. Well, the popular reception is so polarized.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a disservice to it. That's
Yeah.
so many
Or maybe
people.
it is, like maybe that's a sign of a good movie, though.
Well, yeah,
like, if
right.
it's polarized.
It totally is, yeah. But in the context
Not
of
to
like
be
if it's
generalizing,
overrated.
yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
true though.
Yeah.
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 When films are polarizing, they're often.
There's something about it, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something
something
it's doing. Yeah.
Worth. Yeah.
That's powerful one way or another.
Yeah.
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 There's a
Even
lot
if
to
it's
talk about, a
horrible.
lot of questions I think surrounding a film. That's like what makes a lot of what makes it
Yeah.
just good.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'll go underrated just so
Okay.
majority rules here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
That's
outnumbered this time.
you are.
I am. I lost. Okay.
Yeah.
2 for underrated.
Okay. Yeah. We'll
One on
tally
neutral.
this up.
So
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't know neutral is an option, but that's good to know.
I don't think it should be. I don't think
throw
it
right
should
in the
be.
middle.
It
I don't
is
know.
now.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I was technically.
Just say it's
Well,
over.
I
whatever
said it
you
was
pick.
overrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said it was a little overrated.
So 2
Not
under, 1
massively.
over.
Whatever you
Yeah.
pick, you lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Regardless,
Unless,
I
I guess
lost.
unless you sided with underrated, but you didn't. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I lost. That's okay.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should definitely. I mean, obviously, we're going to keep track, but we should do something
Okay,
with
good
this
on Nope.
information
Yeah,
at
we
the end.
should,
Yeah.
Nope.
Worth viewing.
Yeah.
Underrated reception.
Absolutely.
Fun film.
I mean, I've seen it 3 times now, and all
Yeah.
of the times were in.
And I've
a
seen it in
theater.
theaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is what Peele wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he really wanted this to be
Absolutely.
something
Yeah.
that people,
True.
folks go to the cinema for.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, releasing a horror film in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And it was kind of
Yeah.
on its own in the box office, right? Like there wasn't anything as big as that, right? Like at that time.
I don't think there was a lot even
Yeah.
coming out at that moment. Yeah.
It was like a nice kind
I
of
think. Yeah.
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 opening. Nice.
Okay. So
Shall we? Yeah.
get into
So
it.
projecting, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
do
our
we need to
last,
pause
our
for a
last.
second?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Our last. Yeah.
Segment of
Our
the
concluding
day, yeah.
piece, yeah, is our over/under segment, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce that, or
Yeah.
I feel like you're better at yeah.
It was also your idea.
It was your idea, so
Okay. So now we're gonna do this thing we call over under. We're gonna try and guess the score of an upcoming film. So of course there are some really big films around out April, which has been a huge month because we've had like Air, Super Mario Bros, which wasn't well received critically, but it's made a bunch of money. Beau is Afraid is coming out. Also Evil Dead Rise. Both are looking pretty good. Beau is Afraid is about a 75%. The last kind of really big movie that people are talking about and is getting a lot of heavy marketing and press right now is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Dar Salim. It's also got Anthony Starr from The Boys, Amazon Prime superhero series, which is very popular. And then Emily Beecham from 1899.
oh.
Yeah, I mean, film made on a $55 million budget.
Guy Ritchie, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, about a soldier during a war who's trying to help his interpreter.
No, the interpreter ends up helping.
Well, the interpreter helps him, and then he helps the interpreter
Yes,
get
yeah, yeah,
revenge.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's
for
a-
the death of his son,
I didn't
which
finish
is
the trailer.
oh, which is not
Yeah, we're
But
still gonna
for
pass
fair-
judgment.
for fair reason. I think that a couple things that interest me about this film is that I think Guy Ritchie's made a couple of duds lately. I did not realize Guy Ritchie directed Aladdin, the live-action Aladdin remake.
Oh shoot!
The live action one.
That's
Yeah,
so
I had no idea that he did
so
that.
embarrassing.
Yeah, that was not good.
Truly.
Well, I mean, he's just taking the Orientalism train.
Yeah,
and
I
going
mean,
with it.
He is.
I think seeing this trailer made me feel like it was like 2003 in the sense that I thought that this genre of film had fallen out of vogue.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, it's very.
I know.
9/11.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Early 2000s. That's where it should be left.
yeah, it confuses me. I'm confused why Jake Gyllenhaal would take this role
Right.
in
Yeah.
2023. Like, why this film is getting released
Yeah.
now.
It's true. It does seem almost like a backward step for him. Like he was doing some really awesome like
What
Yeah.
did he do
roles,
recently?
like
What was he doing recently?
I mean, the last really big project was probably like attention from like award season as Nightcrawler.
Oh,
but,
that was a while ago.
Yeah, what
yeah.
was
I'm
his
just saying he
name?
was like kind of
Yeah.
he's,
doing
like,
some
being
really
better
cool
recent years,
stuff.
yeah.
He was in
and-
Denis Villeneuve's.
Yeah, Prisoners.
Yeah.
Whatever that was.
Oh, I
Not
forget. Yeah.
Prisoners. The
No,
other one.
yeah.
I can't remember. The one with the spiders.
I don't remember.
The giant spiders.
Okay, yeah.
Very Louise Bourgeois. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're
We'll
talking
talk
about.
about
But
it
I
later.
didn't-
I
okay,
do,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, but yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal is
so,
an
strange
interesting
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird to me because here's my dilemma. A Netflix released sort of like a war kind of, this guy goes away to war film. It was like a love story. Felt very Nicholas Sparks. I mean, people loved it. Like the viewership was crazy for it, but it felt it felt like this weird thing where it was like almost trying to sell like an idealized story of this thing to like
when
a
was
different
that?
generation of kids that are on Netflix.
Yeah. When?
Yeah.
Like when?
When it was maybe 2 years ago.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very relatively recent.
I do wonder if it's like this particular political time.
Yeah, like if that's sort of what makes it seem
Populism,
like this is.
patriotism, Yeah.
Yeah.
And like to what end these kind of like production studios are benefiting, like one for.
Oh, yeah.
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 So again, thinking about the kind of stories we're telling and churning out, and it's
Yeah.
weird to be in April. It's probably not pitching for award season
Really
if it's
weird.
in April and it's a war film.
It feels so anachronistic. Like truly, it
Yeah.
feels like it's way too late. I
Yeah.
mean, this isn't the time.
I think it's
But-
gonna be a dud. I'm thinking
Okay.
low 50s,
Okay.
like 53% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think it's gonna
53.
do.
And this is the
Okay.
critic score or the audience
What should
score?
we
The
do?
critic
Yeah.
score, I think.
The critic
yeah.
score?
Yeah, I think the critic score is gonna be like
I feel like the
52%.
Is that the
The
one? Which
critic
one
score
immediately pops up?
Might
Like,
be. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, so
I think the critics, because they see it earlier, right?
okay.
Yeah, that's the one that comes out.
So whichever one just comes up first, is that
Yeah.
what we're going on? Just
Yeah.
by in terms of what is front facing, like public
I,
facing.
guess I think the critics score will be lower than the audience score. I think the audience
Oh,
score
for
will be
sure.
higher.
Yes, yeah.
For sure.
I guess we're agreed on that. Sweet. So Jeremy, you said you're projecting a critic score on Rotten Tomatoes of like around 50%.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I see you're 50. I'm gonna take it lower. I'm gonna say 40, in the 40s.
Okay. I was literally
That's
gonna say
wishful thinking.
yeah. I'm going high 60s,
Okay.
even though I think
Okay.
it's not gonna be like I don't
Okay.
think it deserves that.
Okay.
I think it might get a high 60
Okay.
score, 68.
Okay.
I'll go with an exact number.
Oh. Okay, right under 70.
Nice.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Because it looks a little bit like he's deviating from his normal. Again, like I was just saying, his like typical
Like the London.
Yeah, that's worth to
artistic
consider.
style,
Yeah.
which I think it
But I
was
think he's-
off-putting a lot of the time
He's
for
been
stuff.
doing that for a while too, though.
Has he?
Like,
Okay.
Aladdin
I
is
haven't
very
s-
far removed.
Yeah. But it's also
Yeah.
fantastical, and he does
Yeah.
seem to play into that, I think,
Yeah,
sometimes with
that's
his,
true.
even, I don't know. But I didn't see that, so I actually
Yeah.
can't really say. Yeah.
Lucky you.
Okay, and then with that, we will maybe do something with whoever's closest wins something, or
Ooh,
whoever
yeah.
is farthest
Yeah,
or
we have to
furthest
figure
away.
out
Yeah,
a
I
reward,
guess-
Yeah.
Everyone
kind
will
of
find out
system, yeah.
in episode 2.
Episode 2.
When we come
yeah.
back.
And we'll
Stay
recap.
tuned, folks.
Yeah.